Hello and welcome to section 2 of the pre-calculus videos. This is the section about division of polynomials, okay? So what we're going to do is let's first look at some long division just in general, okay, and how we would do long division, because it's important that we know how to do this before we can move on to polynomials. So the first thing I want to do is kind of, show you how to rewrite this. If I'm really taking 1,658 and I'm dividing it by 25, okay? And this part right here, the 1,658, this is my dividend and this is my divider, okay? And the answer that we'll get is the quotient, okay? So what I want to do is ask the question, okay, how many times does 25 go into 16, okay? And that doesn't go into 16, so I have to move one more place over and say, okay, how many times does 25 go into 165? And the answer to that question is 6. Okay, so if I take 6, I'm going to put it up here above the 5, the last number here. If I take 6 times 25, that's going to give me 150. Okay, and so then if I subtract 150 from 165, that's going to give me 100 or just 15. And then what I do is I drop the 8 down and I repeat the process. And I say, okay, how many times can 25 go into 158? Well, it goes 6 times 25 gives you 150, so we get another 6 out of this, okay? And so we get 66. So if I take 6 times 25 again, I'm going to get another 150. And then I subtract these values, and I get 8. And 8 is my remainder. Okay, so hopefully we remember how to do this because in order for us to do polynomials, we've got to be able to do that. So, what we do is we get this, all right? So if we were to say, okay, how do I check to see if I'm right? All right, and checking a quotient. So what we would do is we would take our quotient, which is 66, okay? We would multiply it by our divisor, so multiply it by 25, take that product, and then we'd add our remainder, which is 8, and that would give us 1,658, okay? So polynomial division is very, very similar, okay? And so what we want to do is we want to, is kind of go through that same process again, and we want to divide the terms of the highest degree, play the blah, blah, blah. All right, let's just go for it. Okay, so what I want to do, let's just take a look at this. We're going to go through the same process, but it's just going to be a little bit different. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm taking 45x squared minus 42x minus 48, and I'm dividing it by 5x minus 8. So what I want to do is ask the question, 5x times what gives me 45x squared? I'll give you a second to think about that, okay? 5x times what gives you 45x squared? The answer is 9x, okay? And that's all I'm looking for, okay? I'm not looking for anything else. I'm just simply asking that one question. So here's what happens. I'm now going to take 9x, multiply it by 5x, multiply it by this whole thing here. So that's going to give me 45x squared. And then if I take 9x times negative 8, then that's going to give me, what is that, negative 72? So minus 72x, okay? Now what I'm going to do, this is where it gets tricky because your signs are very important here. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to subtract this quantity from these two parts up here. So when you think about it, you have to do 45x squared minus 45x squared, okay? That goes away, and that should go away. That's the whole point of that. But then what I want to do is I want to do negative 42x minus negative 72x. So if I do negative 42x, I'm really adding 72x. So if I do negative 42x plus 72x, that's going to give me a positive 30x. And then I drop my next term down, a minus 48, okay? And so then what I get is I'm going to repeat that same process, okay? So now I'm going to say, okay, 5x times what gives me 30x, okay? And that's going to give me a positive 6x. So just positive 6, sorry. Okay, so if I take positive 6, all right, and I multiply that by 5x minus 8, that's going to give me 30x and then minus 48. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract the quantity here. So I get 30x minus 30x, and that's just going to go away. That's going to divide or cancel out. And then I have negative 48 minus a negative 48. So negative 48 plus 48 gives me 0. Well, hey, look at that. That's my remainder. Okay, and so when we get a remainder of 0, that means that this divides evenly. Okay, and so let's take a look at something here. Maybe you can see where I'm going with this. So remember how we take the quotient times our divisor, and it should give us our dividend. So wait a minute, these are both binomials. So if I take 9x plus 6 and multiply it by 5x minus 8, oh my goodness, look what I did. Just look at it. I've factored this. So wait a minute, you're telling me that long division of polynomials is really just another way of factoring it? Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, because that's what we did, okay? So that's the cool thing about long division of polynomials. It's another way of factoring. So this is another way to factor, okay, which is really important because we're going to be dealing with some polynomials that are very, very long, and so we have to use long division in order to start breaking that up into other products of binomials, okay? And so this is just the first step. Now there's a kind of a faster way, but we have to kind of understand the concept of long division before we can do something else in the next section. So, bear with me. We got to make sure we're able to do this, but this is just another way of factoring, okay? So when we have to factor things, this is kind of the process that we go through, okay? This will always work, all right? So let's go through a couple of these, and let's go through something a little bit more difficult. And so let's say this. Let's say you have 3x squared plus 2x minus 1. And that's being divided, or we're dividing this 3x cubed plus 14x squared plus 7x minus 4 by all this, okay? So then the question is, okay, if I go through this process again, okay, if I do 3x squared, what number times 3x squared gives me 3x cubed, okay? And the answer to that question is just simply just an x. So I'm going to put an x there. So now I'm going to take x, I'm going to multiply it by each of these terms in my divisor. So x times 3x squared is going to give me 3x cubed, okay? And then plus x times 2x is going to give me 2x squared, okay? And then x times negative 1 is going to give me minus an x. So now if I subtract the quantity here, okay, subtract that quantity, 3x cubed minus 3x cubed is going to cancel out and give me 0. Okay, now I've got 14x squared minus 2x squared is going to give me 12x squared. And then I've got 7x minus a negative x, that's really plus an x, that's going to give me positive 8x. And then we're going to drop down the negative 4 over here. Okay, so now the question is, 3x squared times what is going to give me 12x squared? The answer to that is a positive 4, okay? So if I take 4 times 3x squared, that's going to give me 12x squared, okay? If I take 4 times 2x, it's going to give me positive 8x. Oh my goodness. And then if I take 4 times negative 1, I'm going to get negative 4. So now what I want to do is I want to subtract this quantity, all right? And everything's just going to go away. Okay, I got 12x minus 12x. I got 8x minus 8x. Negative 4 minus negative 4 is going to give me 0. And so we get a remainder of 0. That's what we want. Okay, so now I want that. So now what I've got is I've got x plus 4. Okay, if I multiply that by my divisor, 3x squared plus 2x minus 1, that's going to give me my dividend, which is 3x cubed plus 14x squared plus 7x minus 4. Now the reality is, guys, is that this part right here I can't, looking at this, I can't factor that. Okay, this would act like a prime polynomial. This would be something where I'd be like, well, I don't really have anything here to, help me divide this, but, we're gonna divide it the same, either way. So, division really, really helps with the whole factoring thing, okay? All right, so let's take a look at dividing something with a remainder. So what I want to do is, we're dividing 4x cubed plus 8x plus 4x plus 3 by 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me do this. Let me do 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Okay, and I'm going to divide that by 4x cubed plus 8x squared plus 4x plus 3. Okay, so if I do, ask the question, okay, 2x squared, what can I multiply by 2x squared to give me 4x cubed? Okay, and the answer to that question is going to be 2x. So I'm going to put a 2x here. So if I take 2x and multiply it by each of these terms, that's going to give me 4x cubed, okay, plus 10x squared, and then plus 6x, okay? So if I subtract the quantity from this, okay, I've got 4x cubed minus 4x cubed. That goes away, all right? If I take 8x squared minus 10x squared, that's going to give me negative 2x squared, okay? And then if I do 4x squared minus 6x squared, that's just going to give me minus 2x, and then drop down the 3 to give me a positive 3. All right, so now what I want to do is ask that same question, okay? If I do 2x squared times what gives me negative 2x squared? The answer to that is negative 1, okay? So now what I want to do is I'm going to take negative 1 times 2x squared, and that's going to give me negative 2x squared. And then if I take negative 1 times 5x, it's going to give me minus 5x. If I take negative 1 times 3, that's going to give me minus 3. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to get a remainder. Okay, if I subtract the quantity here, then these are going to go away. Okay, and then I'm going to take negative 2x plus 5x is going to give me 3x. And then I've got 3 minus negative 3, which is really 3 plus 3, which gives me a positive 6. So this is my remainder. Okay, so it's important that we write our solution appropriately here. And so what I'm going to do is this. I know that my divisor, or my dividend, which is 4x cubed plus 8x squared plus 4x plus 3, okay, that's equal to the product of my quotient, which is 2x minus 1, times my divisor, which is 2x squared plus 5x plus 3, and then plus our remainder, which is 3x plus 6, okay? And so this is how we'd want to write our solution here, okay? Is that, and we're writing a statement, okay? We're essentially factoring, this, but if we have a remainder, we have to tack on that remainder in order to balance this whole thing out, okay? So there's that. All right, let's go on to the next page. I'm having fun. Okay, on the next one, one thing that you'll run into is this thing called a placeholder, okay? Now, what we want to do is we want to divide 6x cubed plus 1 minus 14x by 3x plus 6. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write that out. I'm going to write 3x plus 6, my division symbol, and then 6x cubed plus 1 minus 14x, okay? But this is wrong. Okay, writing it like this is wrong. Okay, the reason why is because what you need to do is you need to have a placeholder. Number one, there is no x squared term, okay? And then otherwise, it's also out of order, okay? The exponents should go in ascending order. So exponents go in... is it descending order or ascending? Well, they go from big to small, okay? Whatever. I'm not an English guy, okay? So what I need to do is I need to rewrite this, okay? This needs to be rewritten, All right, remember I told you how it was important to rewrite stuff? Well, now it's getting to that point. All right, so now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 3x plus 6, okay, and then I'm going to write out my division symbol here. And my first leading term is 6x cubed, okay, so 6x cubed. Now remember how we notice how we don't have an x squared term. We actually need to put that in here. We need to put that in as a 0, and let me do that in blue, boy blue, as 0x squared, okay? And then I'm going to write minus 14x and then plus 1. So how this needs to read, you know, whatever your largest exponent is, you need to have them, you need to fill each placeholder in that polynomial. Okay, so you get 3, 2, 1, and then 0. All right. So now what I'm doing is now I'm ready to do my long division. Okay. And so let's go ahead and do that. And so I'm going to ask the question, okay, what 3x times what gives me 6x cubed? Okay, and the answer to that is going to be 2x squared. Okay, so if I take 2x squared and multiply it by 3x, that's going to give me 6x cubed. Okay, now if I take 2x squared and multiply it by 6, that's going to give me a positive 12x squared. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this entire quantity from that. Okay, so I'm going to take 6x cubed minus 6x cubed, and that's going to give me 0. You just cross that out. And then I'm going to take 0x squared minus 12x squared, which is going to give me negative 12x. Okay, so minus 12x squared, sorry. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down my negative 14x. So if I get minus 14x here, okay, and I'm going to repeat that same process. So I'm going to take, ask the question, okay, now 3x times what gives me negative 12x squared? Okay, the answer to that is going to be negative 4x. Okay, so if I take negative 4x and multiply it by 3x, that's going to give me negative 12x squared. Okay, if I take negative 4x and multiply it by 6, it's going to give me negative 24x. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and subtract that quantity. And so as a result, we're going to get negative 12x squared minus negative 12x squared, that goes away. If I take negative 14x minus negative 24x, I'm really taking negative 24x plus 24x, which is going to give me, what is that, positive 10x? So 10x, and then I'm going to drop down my 1, so plus 1. Now I'm going to repeat that same process. So now it gets a little weird because now I want to, do 3 at what times 3x is going to give me 10x. Okay, and a way to do that is to actually do this. Okay, when you get to a problem, because there's no answer to that question. Okay, 3x times what gives me, or there is, it's just kind of hard to see. What I would do, okay, is actually take 10x and divide it by 3x. Okay, and what happens is that the x divides out, and you're just left with 10/3. So the answer to that question is positive 10/3. Okay, so if I take 10/3 times 3x, that's just going to give me 10x. Okay, and then if I take 10/3 times 6, okay, let me do that real quick. 10/3 times 6 over 1. The 6 and 3 divide out to 2. So that's going to give me, what is that? 10 times 2, which is 20. So plus 20. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract the quantity here. So then I'm going to take 10x minus 10x, okay, which gives me 0. That's just going to go away. And then I've got 1 minus 20, which is going to give me negative 19, and that's my remainder. Okay, so then the question is how do we write our answer? Okay, and what we want to do is we want to say this, is that 6x cubed plus 1 minus 14x is equal to the quantity 3x plus 6 times 2x squared minus 4x, and then plus 10/3, okay, and then plus the remainder, which is negative 19, okay? And that's it. That's my answer, okay? That's how we'd want to do that division, okay? Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing down here. One more problem. Okay, I know this is kind of long and tedious, but that's, that's what we're going to do. All right. So what I'm going to do is I've got this. I've got x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3, and then we're dividing that as 3x to the fourth plus 10x cubed plus 8x squared minus 12x minus 6. Okay, now as I look at these, I got 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We're good here. But, here I got 4, 3, 2, and then just 0. I don't have another term in there. But we do have to add that in because that's really important, because otherwise it ain't going to work. So let's rewrite it. All right, so now I'm going to do this. I've got x cubed plus 2x squared plus 0x minus 3. And then over here we've got 3x to the fourth plus 10x cubed plus 8x squared minus 12x and then minus 6. Okay, so what I'm going to do is do long division on this, okay, and ask that question, okay, what times x cubed gives me 3x to the fourth? And that answer is just going to be 3x, okay? So now I'm going to take that 3x, I'm going to multiply it through onto this polynomial. So 3x times 3x cubed is going to give me 3x squared, or I'm sorry, 3x to the fourth. 3x times 2x squared is going to give me, what is that, positive 6x cubed, okay? And then 3x times 0x is just going to give me 0 x squared. And then 3x times negative 3 is going to give me negative 9x. So then if I subtract this quantity here, okay, I'm going to get 3x to the fourth minus 3x to the fourth. That's going to go away, all right? If I have 10x cubed minus 6x cubed, that's going to give me 4x cubed, okay? If I've got 8x squared minus 0x squared, I've just got positive 8x squared. Okay, and then I've got negative 12x plus 9x, and that's going to give me minus 3x, okay? And then I'm going to drop down my negative 6. Okay, so now the question is, all right, well, x cubed times what gives me 4x cubed? And the answer to that is going to be positive 4, okay? So if I do 4 times x cubed, that's going to give me 4x cubed, okay? And then if I have 4 times 2x squared, then we're going to get positive 8x squared. That's a good sign. And then if I have 4 times 0x, then that's just going to give me 0x. So plus 0x. And then if I do 4 times negative 3, that's going to give me negative 12. Okay? So then if I subtract this whole quantity, all right, then the 4x cubes are going to go away. 8x squared is going to go away. Then I got negative 3x minus 0x. That's just going to stay as a negative 3x. And then negative 6 plus 12 is going to give me, what is that, positive 6. Okay, so this is my remainder. Okay, and so, you can still do long division, even if you got these just god-awful problems. But I'm still having fun, and we are always going to have fun. So let's write our answer out. 3x to the fourth plus 10x cubed plus 8x squared minus 12x minus 6. Okay, that can be rewritten as the product of 3x plus 4 times x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3. Okay, the product of those, and then plus my remainder, which is negative 3x plus 6. And that's my answer that we're looking for, it's just to rewrite that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you are too. And that's all I got. Okay, so we'll talk to you later. Bye.